What's up, guys, gals, non-binary pals, none of the above? This is DL returning with a analysis of a breakdown of a game for myself in the Draft Premier League Season 2, which finished over the course of the summer. I've only so far covered my first match against Metal Friday many months ago, and now the whole thing's finished, and I haven't covered it anymore. Season 3 of DPL is about to start, so I figured now would probably be as good a time as any at this point to cover my games, because I think they were pretty good and pretty interesting, and I really enjoyed them. Season 2 of DPL was my introduction to the 8-mon format, and I thought I did pretty well overall, especially with for the cards that were given to me. Yeah, I'm pretty pleased with how I played throughout the tournament. But in the match I want to cover in this video, it's going to be me versus Lejon Flames of the team Trick of Eye, who's one of their captains. And my matchup was not fun. So I ended up bringing these 6 Pokemon here: Mega Lopunny, Magmortar, Zapdos, Garchomp, Bronzong, and Primarina. And the 2 mons I sat on the bench were Skuntank and it was Skuntank. I don't know. It was some other Pokemon that I was never bringing. Oh no, Chestnut. Yeah, Skuntank and Chestnut. Chestnut is so bad at 8-mon. Like, it does not wall a single Pokemon. So, anyways, so his team, he has these 8 Pokemon. He's got Koko Lucha, Tapu Koko, Hawlucha, Mega Medicham, Mamoswine, Empoleon, Druddigon, Drapion, and Alolan Raichu. And so his team is basically hyper offense, whereas the team I'm using is balanced to bulky offense, depending on how you build it. Because some of the mons are kind of adjustable between like Primarina, Garchomp, Zapdos, Magmortar. All those can be kind of offensive, kind of defensive, or both. And this matchup was terrible because, for one, my electric resists, given that my electric type is Zapdos, which is part flying, it's not an electric resist then. Then my electric resists are Garchomp and Chestnut, which are Dragon Ground and Grass Fighting, which are both weak to Fairy, so Koko just hits them up both with Dazzling Gleam for super effective damage. Yeah. So I have the worst Tapu Koko matchup possible, basically. And then Hawlucha is also very annoying because my Psychic type, Bronzong, is also a Steel type. So my Psychic type doesn't resist fighting. I do have Zapdos for Hawlucha, which is one of the best checks to Hawlucha. It forces it to run Stone Edge, which can miss, so that's one of your outs for sure. And if it makes contact with like Static, and then that's also very good for you. And obviously you do a ton of damage to it with your electric stab. Speaking of my Psychic type being a Bronzong, there's this Pokemon Mega Medicham on its team, which is a fighting Psychic type. And this is a really strong mon, but it's especially strong when your opponent doesn't have like a Psychic type that can switch into it, because Psychic types resist its dual step. So you have something like a Mew or a Reuniclus. That's pretty nice for it. Unfortunately, my Psychic type doesn't even resist fighting, and he has 2 fighting types. So my fighting resists are Zapdos, which is a pretty good mon, and Primarina, which is not that physically defensive for a Fairy type at all. Then his ground type is Mamoswine, which is not good for me either, because Ice Shard is very good for Garchomp, and his ground type is also very good against my electric type, because its Ice Stab is super effective against Zapdos. Zapdos usually matches up pretty well against most ground types. And then Mamoswine also is quite fast for my team. I mean, I got a lot of mons that outspeed it, these 4. But I'm very worried about a Scarf Mamoswine in this matchup, because it would make a lot of sense to outspeed a Mega Lopunny. particularly, yeah, I think it would be the Jolly Scarf Mamoswine. I believe that outspeeds Jolly Lopunny. If not, this game was played some time ago. Then he would be outspeeding a Lopunny, creeping a Koko. And yeah, Mamoswine also gets knockoff for Bronzong. Otherwise, like if it was a Piloswine, Bronzong would just be 100% free on it. But yeah, that's really annoying. And then his next mon is Empoleon, which is one of the hardest walls to Primarina in the entire game, if not the hardest wall. I don't know, maybe like Chansey or Blissey, I guess. But do those even count as real Pokemon? It's terrible. And this is a really good Rocker. It's a really good Defogger. Thankfully, I am able to pressure this Pokemon pretty well between my Garchomp, Zapdos, Lopunny. But I definitely expected Empoleon to come for Primarina, because otherwise he's really weak to Primarina. If you look at his team, his only water resists are the Empoleon and the Druddigon. And Druddigon, of course, being a pure dragon, is weak to Primarina's Fairy Stab. Speaking of which, he doesn't really have Fairy Resist either. Empoleon's is only Fairy Resist because it's Poison type. Drapion is also a Dark type. So, yeah, that's nice. Druddigon. So Druddigon is really good against my Mega Lopunny because of the Rough Skin Rocky Helmet combination, which will basically force my Lopunny to commit Sudoku and kill itself. Glare is, of course, extremely good because it also hits my Ground-type Garchomp here. This is a pretty good Rocker here. You could use Dragon Tail to rack up hazard damage on some of my Rock-weak Pokemon, such as Magmortar and Zapdos. Drapion, I thought, could come. It'd be nice to pursue Bronzong, which would free up his Mamoswine, for example, or make his Koko more free. And then Alola and Raichu, I thought, had a really good matchup, too, because obviously, as I mentioned, my electric resists are pretty bad. And Psychic is, of course, super effective against Chestnut as well. So you'd be able to run something like Nasty Plot, Thunderbolt, Psychic, HP Ice for Garchomp, and that would just obliterate my team under electric terrain. So I was really expecting Koko, Medi, Empoleon, Druddigon, Mamoswine, Raichu, I thought was the most likely 6 from him. And in terms of the sets I expected a sort of spread like this. This would creep, I believe, a Lopunny creeping a Modest Koko, because he could run Modest in this matchup, but it didn't really hit any super important thresholds, so I expected him to try to punish me for maybe trying to cheat with an Adamant Lopunny. And as I mentioned, T-Bolt Dazzling Gleam is super good. Roost for some longevity, U-Turn. Sugar Berry is one item we expected, but Air Balloon also made a lot of sense in this matchup, given that like my Garchomp, it looks like it only needs Dragon and Ground Stabs to hit his whole team, right? Since his Fairy type is an Electric type, weak to the Ground Stab. But if I was just Earthquake, Dragon Claw, and use Air Balloon Koko, my Garchomp wouldn't be able to touch it. I think somebody had just ran like Air Balloon Primarina, similar tech. Hawlucha, I mean, it needs Stone Edge for Zapdos, pretty standard, and it doesn't really need any speed whatsoever. Medicham, there was some debate over whether this was going to run Adamant or Jolly. Jolly to speed tie a speedy Zapdos. I just got confirmation from Clutch sometimes that they actually ended up running an Adamant Medicham, which, I mean, it's a lot of damage. I expected a set kind of like this with Ice Punch for Garchomp and Zapdos. High Jump Kick just hits my team really hard. And then Dual Priority made a lot of sense because Mega Lopunny was a really big threat to his team. Yeah, Mega Lopunny is really good against offense, which is what he has. And then Mamoswine, yeah, we were expecting this sort of spread with a Choice Scarf. With Scarf Shard could even be nice. And then like knockoff, obviously for Bronzong, and then stabs. Empoleon, like a Spadef, like it's called Defog. Toxic, I thought was really important for Zapdos. Rough Skin was more likely, but I guess he could run Mold Breaker, Earthquake for Bronzong. That was definitely an option as well. And then Dragon Tail definitely seemed very likely to rack up the hazard damage. I already discussed what I thought he would run these. Skuntank I consider bringing as like a Aftermath Rocky Helmet Mon to make Medicham die, but like there was a chance like Adamant Medi could just straight up OHKO it, and so I wouldn't get the 2 rounds of Helmet, so that'd be terrible. And there's also the chance that he ran Drain Punch instead of High Jump Kick, which I didn't really consider much going into those matchups because HGK looks so good for just blasting holes in my team. But that'll be another reason not to bring basically Suicide Skuntank. And then Chestnut has 0 matchup. It's weak to all 4 of these Pokemon stabs. And these 2. So yeah, 6 of 8. So anyways, my team. So obviously he's running offense. So Mega Lopunny looked really good in this matchup. We have Limber as our ability before we Mega, in case we want to come in on like potentially Glare from Druddigon or any other paralyzing move he could go for. And we got the dual priority, which is really nice against this offensive team because we're able to more easily revenge kill Hawlucha, for example, with the fake out into quick attack. It's also really nice for like Scarf Mamoswine, like if Coco's outspeeding my Lopunny. To avoid like Bullet Punch from Mega Medicham. Or, oh yeah, and it was really good against Raichu because Raichu's really frail physically. So the dual priority would be really nice for that. Frustration is pretty spammable against this team. The only thing that resists it is the Empoleon. And I opted for Drain Punch over High Jump Kick because I wanted to not lose all of my HP when Druddigon came in. I wanted to be able to recover some of that, and that would keep my Lopunny somewhat healthier. I didn't really feel like I needed the power because Frustration still hit Druddigon pretty decently as well. And High Jump Kick, of course, is weak to Mon's Clicking Protect. So that was annoying as well, and it can miss. And so I ran 396 speed on Lopunny, which I forget what exactly this creeps. I think we're creeping a Scarf Mamoswine, creeping a Lopunny, creeping a Coco of some sort. It's pretty wild. We have 48 Spadef. This is to live, I believe, a Dazzling Gleam from Coco from full, actually. I can't remember if it's, I think that's from Timid Coco. Let's see. And then my next mon is a Scarf Magmortar. The Flame Body ability, of course. Fire is pretty strong against his team. You'll see his only resists is a Druddigon, which my team really appreciates damage on, especially my Lopunny, because Druddigon's like the main thing stopping Lob from just running through his whole team. So Lava Plume's pretty spammable as well, gets a nice burn chance. And then Overheat is a really good tool for revenge killing this team. It's able to secure some pretty big kills. Like I believe Overheat gets an OHKO on some variants of Mega Medicham, depending on investment. Will-O-Wisp was nice for like consistent burn damage. And then Thunderbolt was a cool option for hitting Empoleon harder, as well as Hawlucha, especially if he's got the terrain up from Tapu Koko. And so the Scarf Magmortar, I had to run Modest in order to hit the damage thresholds I needed on Pokemon like Koko and Medicham. So I am slower than Mamoswine, running 249 speed. So like, I would thought that if he would bring Mamo, it would be Jolly if it was Scarf. So that is one thing to keep in mind, that our Scarf Magmortar does not outspeed a Scarf Mamo. And then our next mon is a Zapdos, using a Chardy Berry for the Stone Edge from Hawlucha, with Roost, Thunderbolt, Toxic, and Protect. The Toxic hits the Mamoswine and the Druddigon, which are his electric resists. Obviously, he also hits Koko and Koko and Raichu. And it's really nice because it covers like basically all of his options. because Toxic hits every mon but Empoleon, which is weak to electric. So that combination is really strong. Protect is a nice move for scouting for choice mons, or let's see, making him like miss with high jump kick. Is there any other reason I read Protect here? That sounds like about it. Oh, to avoid taking fake out damage from Mega Medicham, that was another reason. Yeah, I believe this would prevent like the fake out Ice Punch combo from KOing me. And I ran a Zapdos that outsped an Adamant Medicham. It's pretty nice. This special attack investment I think hits some sort of 2-hit KO on Medi, or like maybe Max Videf and Empoleon. I don't know. Yeah, the special attack investment is designed to OHKO a certain bulk of Hawlucha, I believe. Alright, so my next mon is an Assault Vest Garchomp with basically max speed. We're outspeeding a Jolly Mega Medicham with enough special defense so that we can live 2 modest dazzling gleams from Tapu Koko after rocks. Yeah. So this is a really bulky Garchomp because that's his stab super effective move from a fairly strong Pokemon. The other set I was considering was like a Z move set, maybe like Sub or SD with the Z Ground or Z Dragon. Because both of Garchomp's stabs are pretty spammable in the matchup. He doesn't really have a ground resist, it's only Hawlucha. And then his fairy resists are Empoleon, which is weak to ground, and Koko, which is also weak to ground. But ultimately I went with the Assault Vest set because I figured Koko was like a huge threat. And I also like the option to run Dragon Tail because Garchomp could very easily be setup fodder for Hawlucha in this matchup. And the Dragon Tail would obviously phase it out. And if it's activated its Seed, then like it's no longer a threat anymore once it switches out. The Poison Jab is for that potential Air Balloon Koko I was talking about earlier. Yeah, I put all the bulk I needed and then I just dumped the rest into attack. And I believe this still hit yeah, this was supposed to still 2-hit KO Mamoswine. Yeah, that's it's a threshold of this attack hit. Yeah, Dragon Claw and Earthquake is mentioned pretty spammable. I considered a choice banded Bronzong, but ultimately I decided I needed the rocks. And I really like this set that I had. I got Gyro Ball, Psychic, Earthquake, and Stealth Rock. So a rocks 3 attacks Bronzong with the Custat Berry. Because I have enough defense to live a high jump kick from Adamant Mega Medicham, but I would be very weak afterwards. But the idea would be that I would Gyro Ball it, and then my Custat Berry would activate, and I'd be able to take out the Medicham the next turn since I would move first. Psychic is important for Hawlucha because when its Electricity activates, its defense obviously goes up 1 stage. So Psychic hits that very hard. Bronzong is one of my main checks to Hawlucha in addition to Zapdos. And then Earthquake is designed to hit the Empoleon, which otherwise can take anything Bronzong goes for. But we should be able to hit it pretty hard, especially since it should be more on the specially defensive side. And obviously rocks are rocks. This Spadef hits a... Yeah, I put all the defense I needed for Medicham, and I think I put the rest in Spadef for Tapu Koko. And then my last one is a Scarf Primarina. We're running dual Scarfers. This is literally a 252 spread. This hits some threshold, I don't know. Hidden Power Electric is for the Empoleon. It's not that strong of a move, but with the electric terrain up, it hits it pretty hard. Other than that, like Scald and Moonblast are pretty spammable, and then Hydro Pump is there for the extra damage, especially if I'm in Torrent range. That can be pretty strong. So that's it for our build. Going into the match, we're going to see that he brought the Koko Lucha, Mamoswine, Medicham, Drotagon, and Empoleon. So he left the Raichu on the bench, which I was a little surprised about. Yeah, looking at my team, I was very much concerned about a Metacham lead because I have 0 switch-ins to that Pokemon whatsoever. So I wanted to make sure that I led off with something that matched up well against Metacham. And then he could also lead Koko, which is a very common lead because it forces a lot of my Pokemon out. Plus it has momentum. So I decided to lead with my Garchomp, as he does indeed lead with the Mega Metacham. And this is a good lead for me because I could very well be Z-move Garchomp, and if I am Z-move Garchomp, or like something like Choice Band, I do threaten to kill the Metacham in one hit. And he doesn't want to like fake me out because he'll take rough skin damage. So I'm gonna. They say that in chess the threat is stronger than the execution, and that's basically what's going on here with this lead Garchomp. Is he led to get a kill with Metacham, and it looks like I led to get a kill with Garchomp. So he's gonna go into the Hawlucha as I click Earthquake. And then this turn, Hawlucha is not going to do anything right now because it doesn't have the seed set up and my Pokemon are all full and stuff. So obviously Hawlucha is going to switch out, right? But he could potentially try to catch me slipping with another Earthquake and go for something like Raw SD, predicting me to Earthquake again. So I wanted to cover that option and make sure that I got damage off on him. So I just went for a Poison Jab, which also covered him going into something like Air Balloon Tapu Koko. As he does go into the Koko and take a good amount of damage, 63%. And in this turn, he's going to predict me to switch because I could die to something like a Z Dazzling Gleam or like a Specs Dazzling Gleam if I wasn't the Garchomp set I am. But I'm Assault Vest Garchomp, so I don't care what this Koko is going to do. And I'm just going to click Earthquake. I'm just going to do 58% through the Shuka Berry. Get rid of his berry and keep Koko nice and weak. Go for Earthquake again as he brings his Mamoswine out, and I was very surprised about this play because, as you can see, I 2-hit KO Mamoswine. But this is screaming that this is indeed Scarf Mamoswine. Which was the set I was expecting in this matchup because I thought it made a lot of sense. If he's not Scarf Mamoswine, then like I live Life Orb Ice Shard easily and take out the Mamo, and then I'm a Mon up with my. Though Koko would be pretty scary, it's also at 29%. Anyways, I go into Bronzong expecting a Scarf Icicle Crash. Take this as an opportunity to get up my rocks. And I know he's going to defog here, so I try to get some good damage on the Empoleon. Get a clean 42%. If I can get damage on this, then that really frees up my Scarf Primarina as a strong win condition. Because, as I mentioned, he doesn't have resist to Moonblast outside of that. So go for another one because he doesn't want to take any more damage. Because he'd be at like 30%. And at that point, Primarina starts 2-hit KOing it. So he goes into his Medi, takes 35. So we got a good chip on all his Mons. We're just going to go for the Gyro Ball here, as he goes for Bulk Up. And this is a little concerning, because this definitely throws off some of my ideas of what sort of Metacham this might be. Wondering if this is going to be like Recover or Drain Punch. And because he's +1 defense, he's going to take a lot less from the Gyro Ball than I was expecting. Like he would have taken something like 60%, I believe, from a Gyro Ball if he wasn't at +1 defense. But this is going to mean that my Custad Berry Bronzong will not be able to 1v1 this Metacham. So I'm going to go into the Primarina, predicting him to go for either like a Recover or a Drain Punch. I thought one of those two options made a lot of sense to try to get some health back on this. And my Scarf Primarina will be able to outspeed it next turn and threaten it out. So he goes for +1 Drain Punch, which does a ton. But I force it out. I go for the Moonblast because that would kill it. He does see that I'm no bulk Primarina as well, so he should expect the Scarf there. So now Empoleon's here. I'm going to Zapdos on that. I try to Toxic, predicting the Mamoswine. See, he gets a good play on me. Toxic's my 'But I know he's not staying in. I get the double Toxic and Mamoswine. And then I read him again and go for the Fat Roost on the switch out into Medi. I try to T-Bolt here. Maybe Toxicking again would have been a good play, but that would have been too many levels. I get the Primarina in on the rocks, which is nice. And then I get a nice Torrent boosted Scald off on the Empoleon, which does 20% and burns it. Scald again for even more damage. So now, with this being this weekend, Bronzong is really offensively threatening. And you're wearing a Garchomp, which just means I get a kill. He brings the Mamoswine back out, which again is bluffing the. It's telling me that he's Choice Scarf. So I'm going to switch out into my Zapdos. I believe I intended to sack it, yeah, because after I take rocks, I'm down to 34%. And this is not an HP level at which I can check a Medicham, a Jolly Medicham, or a Hawlucha. So I was perfectly willing, and my Zapdos is toxic. So yeah, I was intending to sack the Zapdos. So he goes into the Koko. Which is, and he takes more damage from the Toxic on Mamoswine. So I think maybe this is a bit of a misplay from him, but I don't really know what else he goes into. Because he goes into Medicham, that just lets me get in like Lop or Garchomp or something. But he's going to take some free toxic damage. And I'm going to go for the Drain Punch. And this does confirm he's Rough Skin Rocky Helmet. I'm going to go into my Primarina on the Glare. And then because I'm Choice Scarf, I still outspeed through the Paralysis and knock out this Druddigon with the Moonblast. So that's really nice for my low punting. Because as you can see, the rest of the team doesn't take hits from it whatsoever. So now he went for the Dazzling Beam, so I bring out my AV Garchomp. We chew that up 44%. Get him out of here. Koko's dead. This wasn't... Alright. This was strange. Okay, so the Koko dies. He sends out Mega Medicham. But my Garchomp is faster than this, and it should kill with Earthquake. So I'm not sure... This seems like a weird play. And he took a lot of time to make this play too, so I wasn't sure what was going through his head at this point. I'm like, okay, I'll just click Earthquake and kill it. And then he said Mamoswine. Because I was under the impression this was Scarf Mamoswine, I didn't think this play made a lot of sense, but I do have a very healthy Bronzong in the back. But my Bronzong is also my check to Hawlucha at this point, so I think Scarf Mamo still could have won. Turns out this wasn't Scarf Mamoswine. And this play of bringing out Medi and then just going into Mamoswine, yeah, it tells me it's not Scarf, I guess. But what it also tells me is what he's going for is Last Mon Hawlucha, which would be intended to prevent him from being Dragon-tailed. Because now he sends out the Medicham. If I click Earthquake now, then he gets Hawlucha in, clicks SD, and my Garchomp isn't able to do enough damage to it, or Dragon-tail out since it'll be his last Pokemon. So I'm going to Dragon Tail him as he goes for the Bulk Up this turn. Get some nice damage on the Medicham, and now force the Lucha in to activate its Seed, while I am still able to Dragon Tail it. So he's not able to go for the SD this turn. So he just knocks me out with Acrobatics instead. Takes some Rough Skin, and I'm able to get in my Bronzong against the Hawlucha with it still being at neutral attack. So here he goes for the SD, as I go for the Psychic, which does a lot of damage. It's a special attack. He shows Drain Punch, as I just Psychic again. If he'd gone for a High Jump Kick, he could have killed me, but my Lopunny would have been able to revenge it with a combination of Fake Out and Quick Attack. He brings the Medi out, goes for another Drain Punch. I want to give the kill to my Scarf Magmortar. Go for the Scarf Lava Plume because it won't miss, and I get absolute min roll. But it's fine because Fake Out will flinch, and then Quick Attack, taking away any possibility of a Bullet Punch crit somehow killing me. I'm going to take the win over Lejon. After this, paper was like, why did you play Lejon? Lejon's so bad. But Lejon Flames is wash. And like, he didn't play the best, sure, but I thought I also played pretty well, especially with this matchup. Like, sure, I had Pokemon that were scary for him. Like, he didn't like Lopunny, he didn't like Garchomp at all. Like, those were like big threats against his team. But you'd have to be out of your mind to think that I had an advantage here whatsoever. So I was pretty happy with this after my first game, where I felt like I outplayed my opponent, but I got hacked pretty hard with a turn 1 freeze. That basically meant I played the whole game 5v6 with him having rocks up and my primary Baker did. Yeah, I felt like this was pretty good redemption. So thank you all for watching. I'm going to be covering another game or two here from DPL Season 2, and I'm looking forward to Season 3. Hope I get drafted again. See y'all. Bye.